wanna spend my life with you all day. You say that you love me, is it true? You say I'm the only one that's all for you. Okay, make me feel away, make me feel away. Shorty so damn dangerous, fuck me like I'm famous, yeah. I've been so impatient, so glad that you made it here. Took my dick and faced it, shorty going crazy, yeah. Thought that you was playing, told me spray it everywhere. She want me to take it, what you tryna do? Shorty said she.
So who is Chris and who is Route 1 Athletics?
So I just started training 15 years ago. I've been doing this for a long time around the area. I've worked with a lot of high-level athletes. I started at a company called TZ Sports. The guy's name's Troy Jones.
Yeah.
He is one of the, if you're around the area, he's one of the best trainers probably in the country. He's down at House of Athlete right now with Brandon Marshall.
Okay.
So I was exposed at an early age in the training world to working with a lot of high-level athletes. We worked with Stephon Diggs, Blake Countess, the Fuller brothers. Any high-level athlete around the area, I was exposed to that at an early age. So my first time stepping in that gym, I was like, man, this is my atmosphere. I love this. I want to start, my own thing. It took me about 5 years, like branching off on my own, and we took the leap. I saw the facility in Elk Ridge. It had kind of like a turnkey, kind of style to it, to where I didn't have to invest a lot of money into outfitting it. And over the past 5 years, I feel like we've done a pretty good job in the area of working with a lot of, local athletes, high school, college, pro. In Route 1, just to give you an idea, we work with a lot of youth sport organizations, AAU teams. We partner with Team Thrill and Mookie Dobbins, the director of Team Thrill.
Shout out to Mookie.
And we just work on helping kids achieve their dreams, get to the pro level, achieve scholarships. It's been a blessing.
Man, that's dope, man. Talk about your upbringing a little bit, as far as like, did you go to school? What made you fall in love with this sports? I know you said Troy got you in, but before that, you played in particular sports. You be like, oh, I gotta do this.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know this. I actually played baseball, basketball, and golf in high school. I was
golf.
Yeah. So no, I don't. So in high school, I played basketball. Baseball is a very backward sport. It's very slow culture. It's very slow in general, and I actually can't stand it. Not bad. Yeah. Well, I guess it's a love-hate relationship. So I got really burned out at an early age. I was playing baseball year round. I was, traveling a lot. My arms started to hurt. So I basically gave up baseball and started playing basketball. Started getting a lot of interest, and I was actually on my way to, I had 3 scholarship offers after the state tournament when we played my senior year. I didn't commit anywhere. I was holding out. I was like, I gotta play Division I. That's my dream. That's my aspiration. So I had it narrowed down to Boston, Buffalo, and Toledo. I was on my way. Yeah, so I was on my way to Boston. I had my plane ticket bought and everything. But I had a baseball tournament that I was playing for fun in West Virginia. And if you know anything about baseball, I threw a perfect game through 5 innings.
Oh, wow.
Threw a complete game 2-hitter. I touched 87. So as a left-handed pitcher, throwing anything above 85, like you got an opportunity to play professionally. So what I didn't know is there was an Atlanta Braves scout in the stands. And he called me when I got back from the tournament in West Virginia. He basically said, look, you're 6'7", you're left-handed, you're white, you're slow, you can shoot. Not a lot of guys like that in the NBA. It's like you're 6'7", you're left-handed. If you throw above 90, we'll draft you and you can make a lot of money. And
baseball.
Yeah. So I had all these cool ride opportunities for basketball. Baseball basically came in and said, like, you've got an opportunity to make a lot of money. And he basically threw some numbers out. I came from a lower middle class family. We didn't have a lot of money. So when you're throwing out, I can make 6 figures, I can make 7 figures in one day.
But playing a sport.
Like, I'll play basketball. Yeah, I'll play basketball on the side. So, long story short, the Brave Scouts sent me to a junior college in West Virginia called Potomac State. I went there. I didn't play at all. because I was hurt. So I was hurt for the 2 years I was there. I had shoulder issues. I almost had to get Tommy John. I was actually in a really bad car accident where I almost lost my right leg. So I was in and out of the PT. I could have used you. So transferred from Potomac State to IUP, played for 2 years there, but again, same thing. My arm hurt so bad I couldn't lift my arm above my head to put my shirt on. So I was constantly in and out of the PT room, constantly in and out of athletic training room, and just dealing with a lot of injuries led me to where I'm at, because I feel like a lot of times people get the wrong information, and you're trying to do things to fix yourself, but in the medical world now, they're going to give you an X-ray. If that comes back negative, they're going to send you to PT.
Exactly.
If PT doesn't work, they're going to give you MRI. MRI comes back clean, they're going to give you more PT. And what happened is they sent me to pain management at 21.
Damn.
So they wanted me, I was 21, they were feeding me pills, they were giving me cortisone shots, everything.
Wow.
And I was just like, this isn't right. I'm 21. I shouldn't have to deal with pain for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So it kind of led me to seek out Troy and started training and never looked back.
Wow, that's
Man.
amazing.
See, that's the part I wanted to hear the first time. That was tough. Like that whole upbringing. I know what you're doing now. I mean, people gonna find out too, Snill, but I'm saying like that right there. The fact that somebody came and saw you play and offer you 6-7 figures, you about to do it in injuries, because that's pretty much been my career too.
Yeah.
And I know he can tell you too. Like, my career is based off injuries. Like Jimmo in the back probably can tell you too. I've been hurt every year I played basketball, and I'm probably playing. I never played 100% day in my life. I probably always played 85, 90. Shannon knows I get banged up all the time. See her, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? Why you need no bend weight?" I'm like, I just done it. Yeah, I'm like,
Why you jump like that?
Why you jump like that? Why you move like that? Why you,
No, I mean, but when he came back from college, he was listen. They had him, whatever they had him down in New Orleans. He came back elite, jumping out of the jump.
Nice.
And then I went overseas, and the injuries kept happening.
Yeah, wow.
That's how it
He don't
happened.
even jump anymore.
I don't even jump. I don't even like dunking. I only like smacking glass and nothing like that. I just lay it, jump
We
shot.
gotta get you back to that.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm trying to get back to that.
There we go.
I need
Cute.
that. I used to be an immaculate athlete.
What?
Okay.
So let's get into Shannon. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm following up with that. God. So I'm a sports physical therapist, and I just started my own practice called Willpower PT Sports Physical Therapy. And I actually started with Chris. So I graduated. I went to Georgetown and practiced there for a little bit, and then I worked at a practice where Chris was, called Impact, and that's where I met Chris. And honestly, it's great because like PT and sports work together. Chris had a lot of people coming through the doors, like he said, people getting injured. We would talk, send refer to each other. So that's kind of like how we go back. But from then on, I was just like, I mean, honestly, as like a white female, like why would you pick to come to me? Like what am I going to teach you? So in the beginning, I was like a little nervous, because I was like, okay, like I need to be confident, but it's all about connections and communication and just like making you feel comfortable. And we connected like right off the bat type of thing. And I just feel like referrals just kept coming in terms of like basketball. I mean, like once you treat one basketball player, then you told your friend or whatever. And football too. So it was cool to like, it was outside my comfort zone, but then it became like, I was really comfortable talking about these injuries with these high level athletes. And then over the past couple years, the past 3-4 years, I've just kind of established like my own schedule, people just coming to me, and then I had an opportunity to just like get out on my own, and I was like, all right, well, it's time to start my own practice. So it's been 5 months, and I hired someone last month, so which is cool. Yeah, so we're growing and so that's a little bit about me. But I mean, I came from like, I played sports growing up. Like I was not like an all-star athlete in college by any means, but and I went to Maryland, and I was a student trainer.
Go Terps.
There we go. Okay, you're right. And I was, so like I remember freshman, now there's like a whole sports medicine program at Maryland that you have to apply for, and like some of my like kids will like ask for a like a recommendation or whatever.
Yeah.
But that program, I just went up to the head of it and I was like, hey, I want to like work with sports teams. And she was like, let's make it a high level elective class. So like I just got an easy A every single semester by working with a different team. So I started with wrestling, women's lacrosse, then I was with men's lacrosse and men's soccer. So for the 4 years at Maryland, I was just in the training room. Like I learned a lot on the back end, and like I was having fun. Like we're all the same age. We're going out partying at night. Like I'm the same age as the people I'm like, massaging in the training room. But it was fun. I graduated in 15.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're all like the same
time.
age. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But it was. I think it gave me a good background as a sports PT because it wasn't like I was just playing one sport. Like I got to see all the different sports in the training room,
That's amazing.
which is cool.
That's great. I know. Touch on your background as far as like you just like basically you start on your own. And, your facilities is located. Where is it at again? Oh, that's far.
Yeah, it's
I just know it's
like
far.
so Bear Hills area, like
Yeah.
Mount Washington area. It's like up the highway. It's kind of like around Gilman and Boys Latin area, like those all boys schools. So yeah, I mean, my background, like I didn't think I was telling Chris this earlier. I was like, I didn't think I wanted to start a business because just there's so much drama and like just I mean, just a lot of responsibility and like. But then I just realized like I'm making somebody else money when I know I have that discipline to do it myself. And I felt like it was just time to just take a chance. And I was like, whatever, I'll give it a year. And if not, like I know I'll have a job somewhere. Like at least I have that experience. And I just kind of took a leap of faith. And I mean, it's paying off. Like it's been 5 months, but it's been super fun.
Like I said, I've been there a couple times. I love every time I go. Like I said, it's a nice facility. It's real dark. A lot of people do come through there. I know like you said, a lot of people from Boys Latin. You got the partnership with like Lola's Lacrosse.
So I work with Loyola University. I'm the assistant strength and conditioning coach for the men's lacrosse team. So it's cool. So it's cool to like I treat patients all day, like high school, college, professional athletes. Just active people. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll go to the like the weight room at Loyola and then be with the men's lacrosse team there, which is cool. So it's I mean it's awesome to be with. I mean it's cool to be the only girl in the field sometimes because you kind of look around and you're like, I'm like the only person on this field. But in the beginning, like once again, like I stepped into it being like, I'm like this young female and they're like, what is she going to bring to the table? And now, we have just like a lot of trust with one another. They're asking me questions, like confiding me about their injuries and stuff. And it just seems like a family now, which is cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask a question, like, why specifically do you feel like, I guess, certain athletes come to you? Like, do you, like provide, I know like with being like a woman in some like male spaces, do you feel like you're like a nurturer in that respect as well?
I just feel like I don't really like, I don't know. I feel like I work with them and where they're at. Like I had a kid come in and he had an ankle sprain, and this was literally this week. And he ankle sprain playing basketball, and then he's like, well, I've got lacrosse tryouts that like I need to make that team. And like his mom's like, like it's important to them. And so like I was like, all right, like let's just get you through these tryouts. Like, we don't want to like I was like, we don't want to be stupid and like really injure it, but like let me check this ankle out, let's see what's going on. And I gave him he felt much better even after just like that one treatment. And I was like, all right, like I'm not hurt. Like I'm fine. Like this is your body, so you got to listen to it. But I know that like your priority is to make this lacrosse team, so like let's get you there. And he was like, thank you for saying that. Like the last PT I went to was like, just rest for 2 weeks. Like don't really walk on it. And it's like if someone came and told me that, I'd be like, all right, screw you. I'm just gonna go see someone else.
Right.
So like you tell like a high schooler that who's trying to get recruited, and this is that time. It's just like, all right, what can we modify to get you there? And I feel like I'm just happy I've kind of developed that concept of like, I clearly don't want you to get hurt, and there's times like we need to like, it's a broken bone, we like literally need to like boot it. But other times I'm like, all right, let's modify some things, let's get you through this game to get some looks, and like, let's just let's plan to come on the back end, and we're gonna get better each time instead of like yo-yo. Like let's make sure that we're on that upward path. So yeah, that's a good question though.
So just because I'm curious, what type of treatment would you do on like a sprained ankle?
A sprained ankle, yeah. I think the main thing, honestly, it's hard to train ankles, I think, because everyone's like, okay, well, I squat, I deadlift, like, isn't that the ankle? But I think we did a lot of this too with like single leg landing and stuff. So especially with basketball, when you go up up for a layup and you come down, it's on one leg. So it's
Yeah.
about like absorbing that force, not just like landing really hard. And like when you land hard, like you kind of feel it like in like your neck, like everything.
yeah, it like shoots up.
It kind of like
Yeah.
shoots up.
feel it in my knees.
So I just think like just honestly training and like young boys are like lanky. Like picture
Yeah.
Chris like his size, like in high school. Like when you jump and you land, your knees gonna like cave in, and you're like, oh, like I feel like
I
just
mean,
an
I feel like that was
They
me.
do not.
Yeah.
I feel it's also good because kids aren't taught that. They aren't taught
Right.
how to land
Yeah.
or how to like use their bodies because,
Yeah.
like I said, they are so linky.
Right.
They're all like.
So I
what they
think
look
I
like.
think it's about like one, it's like if it's in pain, like I'll do like some soft tissue work, some dry needling, like kind of like do some ankle modes just to get the pain down, and then I'll get them and doing some like single leg work, and not just like just standing on a foam and just like the normal PT stuff, but just like having them stand on like a 45-pound plate, like half of the foot on, like throwing a basketball at them different directions. So it's at least like you gotta like have fun and like be creative with it at that age, so then it like looks like sports, but I'm also like his calf is like on fire by the time he's done that exercise. So
I missed those.
Yeah.
Missed those days.
yeah,
So it's like a double team because once he leaves you, it goes straight to him.
right.
And then he
Yeah.
goes there and strengthens everything back where it's supposed
And I
to
think
be.
it's important to have a good relationship with someone like Chris too, because it's like if we don't have that communication, then the patient or like the athlete feels disconnected. So like if it's like I told Chris like before we started, I was like, I have a couple athletes that talk about R1, and I'm like, oh, like I haven't seen Chris in a while. That's awesome. Like hopefully you go back, whatever. Like I just think that open communication is really important to like for them to just feel like, oh, like they all know each other, they trust each other. Like that's important for them to know.
That's always been the hardest thing with training different athletes when they're
Yeah.
going through the injury process. If the physical therapist isn't openly communicating with you, you don't know what they're doing when they're there. So that's why it was so beneficial when you guys were in there. Now we have another physical therapy company. It always makes it so much easier when an athlete is going through an injury process to be able to just walk across hall or send them a brief text. Hey, what did you guys work on? What are some things that we can incorporate to help kind of like speed the recovery process up?
Right.
So like there's always a crossover between PT and training, and the better you communicate, the better the athlete's going to recover.
Yeah, so you ever had like athletes come in like ain't nothing wrong with me, and then
All the time.
Something wrong with
All the time.
and
All the time.
and then you don't do something like and it's like yep.
All the time.
Yeah, so-
Probably
So how do you-
95% of the time.
How do you navigate that with like getting them to like you're literally
Like become
Like your face
become
is
like
like-
self-aware of their
Yeah.
bodies and like actually listen to them.
I think the first thing we do is kind of like reduce their, I guess their nervousness or kind of fear of coming in and training, and we'll take them through different movements. We'll see how they move, see how their ankles, knees, hips, all of them, range of motion, how they squat, how they hinge, how they do certain movements, and a lot of times I'll film them.
Right.
I'll film them and
So
I'll
they can
show them
see,
so they
yeah.
can visually see it. So you can sit there and tell them, your knees crashing, you're doing things, but their, awareness, their body awareness is off. So if you could show them physically or visually,
Exactly.
it helps the buy-in process a lot
I may
better.
need to start coming to you for real.
Yeah, you legit.
Seriously.
Come on in.
Yeah.
I think a big thing too, it's like even though like I'll videotape them, like put them on Instagram or whatever, like the main thing is to like show them.
Yeah.
And they also like want me, like want us to post or like whatever, but at the same time it's like I'm videotaping because I also like I've done this with you where like I'm like you're gonna be more critical of yourself than if I show you, like if I'm just telling you.
so using the same concept
Right.
as like film. Like you
Yeah.
want your highlight tape. This
Right.
is your
like
this
I'll
is your
literally,
highlight
like,
tape for
film
training.
the Instagram story and I'll be like, all right, let's look this back and like let's see this. And I like my entire camera roll is just all videos of like patients. But I think it's important because you're so much more critical of like of yourself and your own body compared to
And I
someone
think
else.
that's really good, like I said, for athletes because they want to see their film. They want to see how they
Yeah.
made that right hand layup, how they did that spin move,
Yeah,
how they did all of those things. But
Right.
you need to know how you squatted because you can't do that spin move if you can't squat.
Yeah.
And my knees cracking. Embarrassing.
Go see Shannon.
I know, like for me, I know when I first started. I went into like, well, she used to record me. I was like, "What you doing?" She said, "I want to see how your knee used to cave in." So I know after a couple months, it stopped caving in. And I just hit Chris up recently. I said, "Dude, I need to like get back into it because
For sure.
I need to start dunking or something. I don't know. You feel me? I need
Your
to
players embarrassing you out there?
No, I just don't like the way I be moving out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting older.
Don't say that.
recognize
And LeBron moving the way he moving, he getting older too.
Yeah.
Shit.
He
Yeah, but
great.
he's invested
Oh,
millions.
yeah.
But then you
He's busy with the podcast.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
different. It's different priorities.
You're
in life,
shifting lanes, man.
which is fine.
Speaking of shifting lanes, we got shifting takes commercial.
Poppin' shit, gotta get it. Niggas out here hating, but ain't stopping shit. Stop procrastinating, wasting time and shit. Niggas only gangster when they signing in. Hold on, baby, I can't hold on. So long, baby, I can't go on.
So, getting back into it, kind of want to like dive into, I guess, just more of like injury prevention. So, like, what is the process of that, or how do you like go about, that with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I normally as a PT we see people like after they get injured, but I think a big part of what I'm trying to get into now is the other side of it before you get injured, especially with, I would say, girls, like youth, female athletes. Like I just feel like in high school, like we never like went into the weight room. Like in all girls school, like I just feel like there wasn't much for us. I think that's different now, honestly. Chris probably sees that with, like his female athletes too. But honestly, like I think there's like so for example, like I just started an ACL prevention course. So I did a clinic with Edge Lacrosse. She owns her own like kind of lacrosse training for girls, and we were like, what can we do together? And I was like, why don't we do an ACL prevention clinic? We see like a lot of ACL injuries in lacrosse. So we did this. So it pretty much was like, I don't want to like just sit them down and educate them about the knee, like that's boring. So I was like, let's make a workout out of ACL prevention in terms of like landing, jumping, cutting, and like before each exercise, I was like, all right, this is what happened when your knee caves in. Like I want you to stick your hips back, do hip hinge type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, when you're cutting it around the crease, like I want your ankle to do X, Y, Z. So I kind of brought it back to lacrosse. And so there was a woman there that was like, hey, she was a parent. She was like, I loved what you did, and I want you to come out to our entire club team. So I was like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and I was like, oh, cool, like this could be a thing. So so we just launched that, and we're with a couple club teams now. We're gonna start that in April. But it's a great way to meet people, like meet coaches, and it would just be it would be like preseason, so before they get into the season, because obviously coaches really want to focus on the skill work during that time. So it'd be like kind of the week before that, and then we would follow back up end of the season or mid-season to be like, what did you learn? And then post-season, it's like, okay, what can you work on in the off-season? So giving them some tips of like what you can do in the gym, what you can do outside in the summertime. So in terms of injury prevention, like I think it's just cool to meet people beforehand, and sometimes it's them just like being able to ask questions. Because sometimes it's not like they're injured. It's just like, oh, like, I have like some aches and pains, but like it's fine.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of like something totally unrelated where it's like, their low back, or like, I always have, I just don't feel as explosive, like Aaron was saying, So sometimes it's more on a performance level. So sometimes it's just good to meet people so then they can like DM me or message me with questions and just feel like they're not lost.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what's like what's like a proper way to what's a proper way to rehab? What's a proper way to get into start these kids off early so that way they can either prevent or withstand some of their injuries and stuff?
I think the main thing is structured programming, because I think this comes back to like what both Chris and I do, but I think like, making sure that, if you are weight training, you're not just like all one-sided, like not like all squats, and just, like making sure you have that posterior chain, the hips and the hamstrings, so we don't get basketball quad tendonitis type of stuff. So I think it's more like at a young age, just making sure they're getting it from different angles and not overloading like too much, because then you just get overuse injuries. Mm-hmm. So I would say that the main thing is like parents are just so like just hyper focused now, and they've got kids. We had like a phone call from like a 2nd grade parent, and I was like, go play capture the flag, like go cut a rat, like that's what they need to be doing, like learn how to cut and react, like that's like where they should be learning those skills. But like I would say like 7th graders start to like actually care about like what I think of them, and they listen. It'd be interesting what you say about like age wise, but I think like that age group, I would say like from 7th grade up, they start to really kind of care about their bodies, and you can start strength training like a little bit more. They start to see a little bit more improvements.
Gotcha. So then, I do have another question. Do you think it would be, I guess, imperative to maybe kind of start students out, whether it maybe even as low as elementary school, to learn about like anatomy and like physiology? So, and maybe not even that, maybe just like the skeletal system and like muscular system.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
they
I
just
thought that
know.
was like the coolest courses I had in
Me too,
school.
yeah.
Was like anatomy, physiology. Like I was kind of like science math wise. I think honestly, like I'm friends with a couple gym teachers, and they're teaching like with the PVC pipes, like how to squat, or like I think it's like a part of like everybody's job.
Gotcha.
Like the coach, like your football coach, like your parents if they're interested, in it type of thing. They like going in the backyard with you, like your gym teacher. I just think like all different levels. If we all kind of get on that same page, I think that will ultimately benefit the athlete, and hopefully we'll see less injuries.
Yeah.
And not wear them out. I think right now, like I kind of moved up the Beltway, and it's like kind of like a big lacrosse culture, and it's just like like 3 seasons of lacrosse. But it's like it's good that like you play football and basketball, because it's 2 different types of movements. So I just think like trying to keep them like a multi-sport athlete as long as we can, just like mentally to be able to like he was saying like basketball was like my fun sport, like, and then he enjoyed going back to football because he got that break. So I think that's the most important thing when they're young.
Yeah, like being dynamic in that respect. Yeah, I mean, I played basketball, ran track, and played volleyball, so it was pretty cool. But like now that I'm, older, transitioning into adult life, whatever, if I had a kid, I would love to take an anatomy course to like kind of, even get myself, prepared for when they play sports and all that good stuff. Like, just so I would know, like, injury prevention and all that good. Like, I would actually, as a parent, love to sit down at like an injury prevention course for my kid and be like, yep.
Yeah, even the coaches were even like, can we bring coaches and like, can you have a course for the coaches' parents? And I was like, honestly, just have them come to the course and just watch me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'll answer questions at the end, but I think like they're gonna get more out of it of like them seeing me coach about the injury prevention, and then the coaches can take that back to like, their drills or like sports specific, skill work.
Gotcha.
Do you do that every year as a coach? So that's one of the things we do. We have care and prevention classes that we gotta take every year.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, see, that's exactly.
I didn't think about that. We didn't do that.
Kids, come on.
We did
No,
have
I
that.
like that.
But I also think that the class could be a little bit more beneficial if we had people like Chris and Shannon that actually are in the field, in the profession, that can come in and say like, okay, this is what you need to incorporate into your practices, because quite frankly, once you get to January-ish, you're not really doing as much skill work, because you're doing like, okay, we played this team on Monday, on Wednesday we played this team, on Tuesday let's get our bodies together. I think that would be super helpful. And like,
That's why you gotta have a coach like me. I make them do. We over doing corners, doing push-ups, sit-ups, squat jumps.
that sounds like
Ball
punishment.
sits.
It sounds like you doing that for punishment.
That's why they was good. They was
Okay,
strong.
Sound like
Okay.
Coach Carter.
Right.
Wait, a question. I heard that they took out suicides. Is that
Is
true?
you? I call them a different name.
You just call them a different
I call
name?
it
They
lightning.
can't do that.
Why?
Our school is the
Because of the
lightning.
name.
Because
Yep.
the name.
Yeah, because of the name. I just call it lightning. The kids be like, "Oh, we running lightning." Oh no. Yep.
Like, you just don't know.
They know.
Not lightning.
What if you just said 16? You might just hit the sideline. Just
Oh,
go do
17s? They get
Just-
that
just
too.
go do
The
that.
17s, the
Yeah.
platform.
No, I like randomly heard that, like they took the name away
The-
just because of like, yeah. But
People,
Interesting.
I feel like parents got too much
Involved.
say so and
Yeah.
involvement into what people
Yeah.
like Shannon and Chris do. And it's like,
They know.
let them do their job. They went to school for it. They got more
Mhm.
experience. They got the background for it. I feel like when they got these parents or our kids that think they know it all, they tend to come in and act like they know what they're doing. But instead, they know what they're doing.
They went to school.
They went
Yeah.
to school. They
I
have
don't know if
experience.
Chris gets this, but like sometimes like when the parent's there, the parent tells me all about the injury.
And,
And I'm like, and I literally am just looking the kid in the eye. I don't care how old he or she is. And I'm just like, okay, tell me about your hip. And then the parent would start talking and I'd be like, no, John, tell me about your hip.
Right.
Right.
And like, it's just like, I want to hear it from them and even just like how they communicate with like a new person and
Yeah.
like learning that like respect and like I just feel like that's important to just give them that time to like for them to share about their health
And
at
also,
a young age.
it teaches them life skills. Like
Yeah, exactly.
They got
how to speak
How to
up for
talk.
themselves, how to-
all of those things. Be able to
body
advocate for
awareness,
themselves.
self-awareness.
Advocate's a big word, 'cause they
Yeah.
don't got it.
Yeah.
And I think like
That's
the
the
parents,
therapy.
it's really important because you do learn more about the whole family dynamic, and I really like to meet the parents. But then sometimes, like as they're sitting there, like we're not going to do everything in front of them. Like I purposely like take them into the like
I
other
like
parts
that.
of the gym, so like then they can just like we can just focus on me
Because
and you.
when I know when my mom was around, like
Yeah.
she would just, you know what I mean? It's
Right,
too
you're like,
much.
just
Have you
like,
ever had to
yeah,
like,
please.
Yeah.
have you ever had to like excuse a parent because of like okay,
Yeah.
I need you to step this
I
way.
need you to step,
I know,
please step to the
Yeah.
side.
That was probably the biggest blessing of COVID because we didn't let any parents in the facility.
Oh my God, I love
I mean, we call them helicopter parents. Our hallways would be lined with parents. They're teaching
Yeah.
their kid how to do drills. We'd have parents walk into our gym while we're training the kids and talk to them and yell at them. And I mean, it was
You
crazy.
don't need to.
Oh no, yeah. Had
Parents
to
can
put that,
ruin
the
their
COVID
kids'
made that
future.
boundary.
Yeah.
say it again.
Parents can ruin their kids.
They can't.
That's the quote of the podcast.
That's the quote of
today.
the day right there. That's
Well, you were burnt out, like what you just said earlier.
That's
like,
exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
I didn't have the ability to go season to season to season to have a off season.
yeah,
you didn't have the proper. You had the proper like rest. You didn't have the proper because you jumping until you probably your dad or your mom was telling, "No, we going to do this. Sign you up here. Do this." And it's like, man, can I just play a video game real quick?
Yeah, can I breathe?
Can
Yeah.
I breathe? Like,
Can I do my math?
Nowadays, they don't need to they need to be outside doing stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I tell you for us, like my mom used to kick us out by like 8 a.m. Don't come back home
Don't
to the
come
street
back
like
home.
that.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's why
Don't
we
play
so
outside.
active.
kids right now, they playing video games
Yeah.
till midnight, till 12, come to school the next day, till I'm tired.
Can't stay awake with
Yeah.
nothing.
So-
Can't even go through the training.
And I wanted to circle back. So, are there any other like challenges? I'm sure there's, I'm sure every day is dynamic, but are there any other like challenges outside of like maybe that's like those simple lines of communication that you experience day to day, like with your clients or with,
Yeah.
athletes in general?
I think it's like, I think it's also like the younger athletes just like respecting your time too, because they'll show up like, 20 minutes late or whatever, and I'm like, I've got
Sorry.
another
I'm
sorry.
patient right after you
Parents-
that they're on time.
I'm sorry.
So it's like,
I'm sorry, Shannon. I'm sorry. I do that all the time.
It's the parents, though. It's the parents.
but then at the same time, parents, are the ones driving them. But when they're older, it's just like, I just think like, I was a little bit, like in my past job, like comparing to like the other therapists around, like I was like, hey, if they show up 20 minutes late, like we're ended no matter what.
Right.
Like I don't care, like I was just like, I promise you they will not show up again because they're paying for a treatment that's a half hour, not an hour.
Yeah.
But like I feel like you just have to establish those boundaries, because if you just keep being lax with it, then that patient's just going to be, that athlete's just going to be like, I can show up whenever I want.
Whenever.
And I think respecting each other's time, and just like, I want to respect the time that's just me and you. Like I don't want to have 5 people in here and I'm not giving you that full attention that you deserve for your injury.
Yeah.
So it's like, like once again, I'm always like, I'm not injured. Like I'm fine. But like this is you. So like make this a priority.
Shit from the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID, like kids were waking up at like 3 p.m. and like I'd text them and be like, hey, you have 3 p.m. appointment. He's like, oh, I just got up. I'm like, you gotta get your schedule turned around. Like I'm not gonna be a mom, but like you got places to be and shit to do. So like figure it out.
Exactly. Exactly.
JT, you got shit to do. You gotta be on time for things.
Like I said, I apologize. I'll be coming in 15, 20 minutes late sometimes.
Busy man. It's a busy man right there.
Busy man.
As you can see, we be talking about business. But she be working out. We talking about business together.
Yeah, I'm like, we can't start talking unless I start doing something. I was like, let's talk as I work.
Yeah, we're like,
Let's make the most out of this.
I'm trying to get this money, Shannon.
I know that's right. So, Chris, let's talk about this R1A Classic you got going on. Is this an annual thing? Or?
For sure, we're definitely gonna have it every year. So the whole goal behind the R1A Classic was to bring a big event, a showcase event for high school athletes to the city, to the DMV.
We need that.
Yeah, it was a blessing. It far exceeded our expectations. We had a tremendous support, and we're really grateful for the opportunity. We have, it's going to be even better round 2, year 2. So stay on the lookout for that. We'll be starting to drop some of the teams that we have, some of the commitments, where we're going to be. So it's going to be even bigger. But it was a great first year. Mookie, I can't take the credit for it. Mookie came up with it. He has basketball on lock in this area, and he was a big reason for the teams, the commitments from the players. So it was an amazing event.
So did you get any of those athletes on the payroll as athletes? There were some freak athletes on there, so you got to add them to the repertoire. Working out with them, they put you on your boy. Them kids is nationally known on Instagram. Mikey, that's like $1 million man follower.
Yeah, to have in our first year, to have Mikey come, to have Donda, to have St. Francis, to have all these big, well-known teams and some of the top teams in the country. Was a blessing, and we're really grateful. But I've never seen, I've been around a lot of basketball players, I've been to a lot of games, I've never seen the way they treat Mikey. They treat him like a rock star. They'll follow him everywhere, like there's girls everywhere screaming his name.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Wait, how old?
He's only like 15 or 16.
He's 17.
Wait, what?
17 now.
Yeah.
But before that, when he was coming up,
He's doing commercials right now. He's on commercials on TV.
I have a picture. We have a picture from the event. So in the layup line, the whole 3-point line was like a dunk contest, covered with fans.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Hartford Community College is not happy with us, but I mean that's
the price you pay when you got somebody of that name, stature.
We loved it because that's the
got to see.
event.
I mean, like I said, just to have y'all like your name attached to it, I knew it brought a lot of like good business. Also,
for sure.
Also,
Everybody's stopping me, Mookie, everybody's letting us know like we love the event. It was one of the best, basketball showcase events in the area for the past 20, 30 years.
Oh wow.
So everybody's
20,
excited.
30 years? That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we probably had 10,000 people show up. It was a lot of
I mean, I went to the game and I knew just the fact
that was
that
during COVID.
it was during COVID. It was mask rules and stuff.
Stuff's gotta still happen.
It just the fact that it was just like it was that crowded, and it was that like people really came out to see those players play. And the fact that you were speaking before every game and you was at the who won the classic, took pictures behind it, everybody get to see who you actually were and what you stand for, what you were doing for the community. Also, especially being a trainer, like a physical trainer and stuff like that, and the fact that you took on this type of thing, like as far as like not having like a stamp, it just had RA1. So it's just the fact that that's just good branding wise. I looked at that when I saw that. I said, this dude was a great business person. It's straight business. Like I'm like, man, this is the best decision move I ever seen in my life. As far as like in the DMV area, as far as that. So it was like a no-brainer just to sign off on that. So
no, I feel like I really can appreciate that, because I feel like as we were coming up, not that the basketball community was like falling to the wayside, but I feel like that the community aspect of it was like kind of like pockets of like community, and I feel like what you're doing is gonna kind of bring everyone to like one specific space. So
talk about COVID. Like the best thing that ever happened to us was also the worst thing. Like we almost lost our business. We almost lost everything because of COVID. We were shut down for 96 days. Oh, wow. And throughout that process, we had to take a step back because we were all over the place. We were working with football, baseball, basketball, softball, lacrosse. We were working with everybody. And when COVID hit, we had to take a step back and be like, what do we really want to do? I told you before, we have a turnkey facility. We already had a basketball court. It wasn't in the best shape, so we invested a lot of money in getting the basketball side together. We brought Mookie on as our director of basketball training, and it's been incredible. Now we have like a little basketball family. It's been amazing. So we're excited for the future, and the R1A Classic is just kind of like one piece of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be running a lot of summer camps. We're going to be running a lot of things. So
I feel like both of y'all are being real humble right now, especially
very humble,
because the fact that the talent that comes through your facility alone is wild. Like I go there all the time because, like I said, Marlon there, he trains and stuff, and like my cousin goes there and stuff like that. Just the fact that the talent that goes through there, it's crazy. And just to see that when you drive up there, you're like, this is the facility. Oh, okay. When you walk in there, like it's mind blowing. Even with your facility, like it's like mind blowing. It's just like it can definitely lead to bigger and everything. I don't know if you think about expansion or something.
I was just going to ask that too. Like, were you going to bring other sports back in? Because I know you say you kind of like pigeonholed everything to basketball. Or do you plan to expand to other sports?
For sure. I mean, the biggest thing I struggle with is, I would say, the marketing side of things. Like for me, in the beginning, especially when social media started really taking off, my thing was I want to build trust in a relationship that's going to last a lifetime. Exactly. I don't want people to feel like I'm using you to grow my business and make money.
Exactly.
So, but I also now understand the benefit of it. Brings a lot more awareness. But, you know, it's been a blessing. We've worked with a lot of the, you know, best athletes in the world that have come through the facility. And yes, our goal is to continue to expand into other sports and provide the best service possible for the kids, for the athletes that come through the facility.
Gotcha.
Well, in a way, you kind of using them, but you're not. They using you.
I mean, look, it's
It's a two-way.
Social media is the hardest thing, honestly.
They want us to use it more, obviously,
helps.
because it helps them, and you know they get a lot more followers and a lot more awareness. But you know, for me, it was trust. Like I want to make sure you feel and know I have your best interest at heart. I'm not using you. I'm not trying to use your clout or your image. You know, my goal is to help you personally get to whatever goals you have. So.
But it brings more business for you too. So.
Yeah.
Speaking of business, you got God.
Okay. Poppin' shit, gotta get it. Niggas out here hating, but ain't stopping shit. Stop procrastinating, wasting time and shit. Niggas only gangster when they signing in. Hold on, baby, I can't hold on. So long, baby, I can't go on.
What really holds people back from performing at their most high potential when it really matters the most?
I think it's a combination of a few things. I think lack of the right information and the right way to train, like I was alluding to earlier. I was doing bench press, lat pull downs, all these different drills that actually made my movement worse. So I think a lot of it is not getting the proper information, the proper training education. I think it's a lack of belief in themselves, fear of failure, and probably like discipline and pushing through. A lot of people think they work really hard, but they don't realize how much it truly takes to be successful. So I think a fear of failure and a lack of discipline plays a big role too.
Okay. So how do you help push them over that hump of like that fear of failure, the lack of confidence? Like, what do you do specifically with your athletes to like get them over that hump?
I actually incorporate it into a lot of our workouts. So there's certain drills and certain exercises that kind of like push the boundaries of your comfort zone. So if you've ever pushed the sled, there's different ways and different volume that we can apply.
Sled
that leg burn is insane, and a lot of times people will get to the point where they're gonna fail and then just quit. So a big thing that we try and teach is once you come across that adversity to really push through it. Dive in. It's called the 40% rule. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but if you guys ever heard of David Goggins, he has the book called Can't Hurt Me. So there's a great YouTube video that talks about the 40% rule. And it's a Navy thing where your brain is going to kick in and basically protect you against harm. And when that hits, you have 40% left in the tank. So for us, trying to teach them that you have so much more potential, you have so much more possibilities that you're not tapping into because you're afraid to push yourself.
Dang, I need to hear that.
I need that. He's like the bald black guy, right?
Yeah.
That's my guy. Yeah, he's awesome. Okay, no, trust.
But we use that to kind of teach and instill like pushing through adversity, pushing past your comfort zone. And I use the video to coincide with a sled because you're not going to get hurt during sleds.
It's fun. To me, it's fun. I love it.
It's not fun for everybody.
I've tried it.
I love sleds.
You can leave me out. I can let you know that.
But we incorporate that through a lot of the workouts that we do.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Leave me out.
To go off of Chris too about the high perform, like that same question, I would say like adding to him is like people really, I mean, I have a job because people don't really recover, I would say, in the right way. And it's like the obvious things like sleep, water, nutrition.
That was my next question.
Like,
what are the things that people really need for recovery? And this, like, I guess this can kind of go into like those who are like on their own personal journey.
Right.
Because people are like, I want to get the summer body. I want to get like, you know, like what are the things that everybody needs to help in their recovery?
I would say like first with like the elite athletes, like they're going to Chris for skill work and workouts. They're going to rehab with me, or like they just got so much stuff. It's like you got to find some time for you to just, you know, good nutrition, like, you know, making sure you are staying hydrated. Because I have like a lot of like younger athletes that are like, I don't need water, like it's fine. I'm like, no, like you're getting fatigued faster because you're just not drinking water. Like, this is like easy stuff.
I didn't drink that much water.
Right. So like even just simple stuff. I was like, you know, we can't control like the rate your muscles like healing right now. And I know we're struggling with that, but like that will come. But like we can do something like today to check off these boxes, and like even just sleep and not staying up playing video games, or like it's like that kind of stuff where it's like let's handle that stuff. I would say so sleep, water, nutrition, the structured programming, like reaching out to somebody, making sure like we're not having like overuse injuries type of thing. And then just honestly like managing life stress outside of it, going back to Chris's like mental like kind of mindset, and like that discipline and, you know, that fear of failing and just, you know, kind of believing in yourself and making sure you're surrounded by people that like build you up, like that positivity, I think. Yeah. So I mean that's kind of like big picture, but I just feel like we like forget about those like main life things.
Yeah, especially sleep. Like for me, like I don't get enough sleep, but I realized have realized, I guess times when I do get the adequate amount of sleep, like a lot goes on while I'm asleep. Like, you know, like my body's recovering, like muscles growing, like, you know, toxins, you know, are able to, you know, all that good stuff. It's like the anatomy behind it. I'm just like fascinated by that type of stuff. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. So then, but remember we were talking about like, I guess athletes having like a hobby outside of like, you know, just sports too. So that, you know, kind of giving them like that sports life and like personal life balance as well. So.
I mean, to tell you the truth, a lot, like some kids, like they have an injury that they're not getting recruited, and like they might not play in college, and like it's like they're depressed, honestly. So it's like, I mean, they knew sports their whole life, or even like out of college where it's like sometimes like some of like the smaller sports that aren't like your big name, it's like, okay, now I just like spent my whole college career and like that's all I focused on. And it's like, what do I do outside of here? Right. So I was like, we were talking on commercial break, I was like, with COVID, it was like you couldn't actually like be there with your team, and like it was more by yourself. And I was like, okay, why don't you focus on like your education right now? Like, you know, do you want to go like for like some of my like older kids, I was like, you got another year left like for eligibility or whatever, the COVID year. I was like, you could go back get your master's while you're playing that, you know, that other year. I was like, every single athlete in this room right now could like, they would love to go back for another year.
What?
And like,
finessed in college, my years.
So I just feel like I like
really say that out loud.
I feel like that education piece. Yeah. So I feel like that's something I recommended. Was I was just like everyone's looking on a resume for like some higher education. I was like, go play again. You're like at the top of your career, like that 5th year senior. And then also I was like, just like have other hobbies, because like during COVID we couldn't withstand like this like high level of performance because you're just gonna burn out. Yeah. So I was like, okay, take 2 weeks. Like it's gonna be fine. We're gonna build that back up, but let's just like make sure we have like those normal like peaks and valleys, and like you know reading or like go on hikes or whatever. Like find another hobby, because you gotta find.
I'm glad that
yoga.
you're saying this, because it's really alluded to the next thought in my mind.
Right.
So you're preaching to your athletes, like you have to have these peaks and valleys, you have to have this balance, and y'all know this is my bread and butter. So what do y'all do for y'all's like y'all peace of mind? Because granted, this is your job, these are your businesses. What do you do to keep that equilibrium of like, this is my business, but this is what I love to do outside of my business. This is what I do outside of when I'm with my athletes.
That's probably been my biggest failure. I struggle with balance. You know, once I wake up, my brain is always owning a business, you're constantly putting out fires.
Yeah.
And, I've struggled with a lot of health issues over the past couple of years. I've had 2 scares with colon cancer, I had skin cancer. And I think a lot of that was brought on by my lifestyle, by my, nutrition choices, things like that. And it's hard to navigate and separate business from personal. That's where I really struggle. And I'm working on trusting in my team that, when I'm not in the gym, things are getting done.
Right.
And they're getting done at a high level. That was really hard because you put so much of your life work and time and money and energy and investment into it. It's really hard to step back. But the things that I enjoy and that I've noticed, obviously meditation has been a game changer for me. I wish I learned about that a long time ago. Hiking, I like to read, watch movies, things like that. But any way I can get away from the gym, I always come back, 100% better.
It's the little things. It's definitely.
I need to travel more too.
That too.
Yeah, like get
But that's
away.
been hard.
Yeah.
Let's travel like Germany. Very nice place to travel.
Germany, we're going there. I think, bouncing off of Chris, I feel like, I'm like a new business owner, and I was talking to Chris about that. He's been in it for a while, but I just felt like if I was like sitting doing nothing, I was like, I should be doing something. Like I could like do something on social media. I could reach out to somebody. I could like reach out to a patient. And I just feel like I felt like a lot of stress where like I was like, crap, I just quit my job with like a full-time salary. Like, what the hell am I doing? And kind of like a wake-up call. I was like, no, this is gonna be fine. But I think like over the past 5 months, like, I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, I had like hair loss like around my hairline because I was just like, playing with it and I was stressed. And I think I was just like, I need to be able to spend time for me. And it was kind of hard because it was like, I was saying yes to like everybody. Like if JT texted me and was like, I need something at 6 or whatever, it's like, okay, I've been here since 7 a.m. Now I'm leaving at 8 p.m. And that's like 4 or 5 days a week. And I got to say no sometimes because it was like, I was busy is a good thing, obviously. But I think I lost that time for me. And like I felt it like physically, like just in my like appearance or like whatever. So I think lately I've said, I've like stuck to those hours, still prioritize those people getting in. But I read books or just kind of like make sure like I'm like it's okay. I don't need to like touch my computer every second type of thing. And just like honestly just like accept like I need me time. Honestly, yeah.
No, yeah, I feel like with you guys like pushing others to be working at that highest performance, like, it's kind of like funny to like put the mirror on yourself and be like, well, am I, operating at my highest, so.
I'm taking my own advice.
Literally, exactly. And then real quick, so I do want to circle back to this because I actually need some help with this as well. When it comes to recovery, what are like, just, I guess, in regards to like food or like health or nutrition, what are like some of the best things that you could, I guess, tell someone that you could like incorporate into your everyday life for like recovery and
I would
stuff?
say like even as like myself growing up in females, like sometimes we just like don't eat before we work out.
Oh yeah, I didn't this one.
Yeah, and I think that's something that like and like obviously like I'm not like a nutritionist, but I do think like fueling your body to make sure it's gonna perform the way it wants to. Like if you're like starving the body and just like you go into a workout and you just like haven't had something to eat or whatever. Like I think there's little things like, that pre-fuel, post-fuel type of thing. So I would say nutrition's really important and it's something that I think, there's so much in my job that's all exercise and same with Chris, but nutrition's like a big part of that.
Gotcha.
So I think just giving kids like healthy options, if it's like in the gym or just being like, hey, we just worked really hard today, go home, have a big meal, like make sure you fuel up type of thing. Even just like a quick mention of that and just making sure that they like use food as like something that like is a community thing too. Like I have some girls that struggle with like body image where it's like they work out and they want to be skinny and like, and, I think everyone has a different body image, like men and women. Yeah. So I just think I'm like use food as a way to fuel what you want to do. And like and be in that like elite atmosphere, and also food is a way to like connect with your teammates, like have fun together. Like I was like use that as a way to like on that mental side, like that recovery aspect and like that like self-love for yourself. So I feel like food is just like cultural and also like for your body.
Because when you see it, you be happy after that workout. You see that.
Yeah.
Do you have like some like pre-workout, I guess, food options that like if you could name like 3 of them, like pre and post workout, like foods that will like help. One, get you energized, but then 2, help you like keep that protein.
I would say like since I'm like quick and on the go, I use like a plant protein, like it's like the Tom Brady shake or whatever it is. My boyfriend like loves it. It's like blueberries and like almond butter, almond milk, hemp seeds, and it's just like all in one. Yeah, so I put that. I throw like some like black coffee in it. And that's kind of nice in the morning. And then I'll have just like fruits and nuts to like kind of get me through the morning, or just like eggs and avocado toast or something like that. But I would just say like even chicken and rice, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not perfect with my food by any means. If there's a donut sitting right there, like I'm gonna devour that. So I would say like it's just some choices where it's like you have it ready. I think it's more like meal prepping. Just like having some stuff in the house where you don't grab like the shitty food, I'd say.
Yeah. What about you though? I know.
It's like,
on the male side, like she talking some crazy stuff. I'm like,
nuts and berries.
Nuts and berries.
I eat the fruit.
For those who need a little bit more oomph in their day.
wait a minute.
Well, you're
Best
right,
thing for me, the most convenient thing, I mean, is convenience, really. And what she was saying with the shakes. For me, my favorite is I'll put banana, peanut butter, almond milk, coconut milk. I'll put protein powder in there, chocolate protein powder. I'll blend it up. I'll make some kind of shake just because of the convenience of it.
Yeah.
But outside of that, protein, veggie, some kind of big salad maybe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kava.
Oh my gosh.
I might get kava on my home, honestly.
That
I had
Fine.
kava yesterday.
immaculate.
Yeah.
That is like an immaculate.
That shit put me down.
I'm getting that right now.
That's fine. Boy, that's not for everybody.
Yeah. Honestly, like with the Loyola team I'm with, the main thing is like in college, like I could eat like shit, like you
Yes.
you're drinking, like
We did that.
The
Yeah.
food
and then you're like
not
late night
touched.
eating, and I'm like at least go to Chipotle, or like I was like just like at least eat a little healthier, or like when you can cook in. If you eat all meals out, like you're gonna feel some type of way later. Like it's just not gonna be good.
I used to eat oodles and noodles.
And that's why we're not asking you about nutrition.
4 games I had Skittles.
That's why we're not asking you.
Hey, got
But
that
I was
sugar
an
rush.
athlete though. I was hype.
I want to change gears real quick. I'm gonna start with you, Chris. Like, what's the future for R1A Athletics?
All right, so when I first started it, we called it R1A Athletics because we're on Route 1 and it spans from Maine to Florida, and it does the same thing on the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
So my original vision was to create and partner with, professional athletes or any investors to open up multiple locations all over the country.
That's dope.
With us transitioning more into having a basketball side, I feel like we kind of have a unique situation and a unique setting where you can get everything you need as an athlete under one roof. You can come in, you can get physical therapy, you can get training at a high level, you can get recovery, you can get basketball skills training. So our plan is to actually have something like this in some of the major basketball cities around the country.
Wow.
Ooh, I like
That's
that.
that was like.
But a lot of people never do that.
Very
One
fast.
over
Like
from
5
Maine.
years.
A lot of people
Yeah,
don't.
literally.
No, I knew that.
Down to the name.
I mean, I didn't know that.
South Florida.
Chris
Like,
just
I
AC
knew-
energy.
I was saying,
Yeah.
I knew you was about to expand, but I didn't know that was like the meaning of the name, background of the name.
That's
That's
dope.
Yeah, that's
That's
hard.
really
Like I
dope.
said, I got to do a better job marketing.
I mean, because it's there. Like, it's all there.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all in
you're-
your brain.
Listen,
That's all that matters. But it's there, so it's
It's
just like
there.
getting somebody on the team to like help you.
Yep.
I got
To
I
push it
got
forward.
2 people for you for marketing. One
Actually-
dude in the back right there. You know.
Yeah. And literally, remember, I forgot her name, but she was at Pure Raw that day for the.
Ashley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can help.
Yeah.
She's
Ashley.
awesome.
Yeah, talk
She
to
helped
Ashley.
me
Oh, yeah,
with my
Ashley.
marketing.
Oh, she do?
Yeah.
Is she? Yeah.
I tried to tell her about this. She was like, she booked. I said, what? Booked. Yeah, but Ashley be a good one for you too.
Yeah, Ashley is
She does a lot too. But what's the future for
Yeah.
the training house?
Yeah, so for willpower, it's honestly like just hiring someone underneath me. I don't want to grow too fast that like I just lose sense of quality. And I think like physical therapy, like it's really important to have that one-on-one care and not lose sight of that. So my goal is to like training house is like kind of 2 floors ish. You kind of look over on the other floor, which is a cool setup, I think. And the top floor is just going to be all sports physical therapy. And so my goal is to have like probably like a team of 5. Okay. So me as one and like a team of 4, and just honestly just like crank out like just good rehab and like honestly just enjoy it a little bit. Like people were like, how are you going to scale and do like multiple different things? But I was like, I just want to be good at what we're doing right now in this building. And just, I mean, if the demand is there in the future, that's awesome. But I think right now I just want to grow my team for like good people I trust, and kind of get that group of like 4 or 5 people under one roof, honestly.
Great
Yeah.
idea.
And honestly, continue to do, I think it's really important to do things like in the community. So like having connections that like, you know, Chris and I like worked together in the past. Like I think it's great to like come together today, and like obviously me and you. And I just think like, you know, over time, just making sure like you continue to like, just like, you know, brush up on those connections, or even like a simple message or like a DM, like being like, yo, like that's sweet what you just did, like congrats. Like it goes a long way. And I just don't want to lose sight of that by being like, you know, too busy or just getting hot-headed or something like that. Like just staying like who you are.
Definitely networking is key, especially in y'all field, because y'all bringing in talent. So y'all gotta. I know y'all said y'all don't really use it. Y'all don't really like using them, but they be using. But that's how it is. They actually they get where y'all need to be as well. So it's not. I mean, I won't say change the mindset, but I would definitely be like, well, let me just go ahead. I know what I'm about to be doing. So I just want to say I appreciate y'all coming through.
Thanks for having us.
If you have your social media handles, it'd be the perfect time to drop out. Let people know what you're doing. They can follow you, where to get you at, and everything else like that. We're gonna start with.
Yeah. So. So my Instagram is at will_power_PT. I'm in the Mount Washington, Bear Hills, like kind of Towson area. And yeah, that's how you can reach me. You can message me there, or I'll definitely respond to whatever.
Best place for me is Instagram at Team R1A. We're in Elkridge. Come by. Great gym.
Yep, we sure will. I sure will have them 15 coming to you right away. Trying to set that up.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
This is great. I mean, real quick before we end, do you do like independent, like not independent, but like if I wanted to come, like other people, like I don't have to be like a student athlete.
No. We work with everybody.
He does it all. You work with me sometimes.
Okay, they've been using this platform to get right for her.
I know.
You go ahead, girl.
She on this journey or whatever.
Because I'm trying
Her
to
holistic
get thick.
healing journey.
That's what it is.
Gotta get
I'm
thick.
but not thick for like thick. I just want to like.
Come on,
I'm
right?
5'11".
Stand
I
up.
want to be.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up.
And
Before, after. Before, after, B.
Okay.
Here we go. Turn around. Do a whole
See?
spin. Do a whole spin.
Okay.
It's coming.
And that boy got knowledge, we out.
I definitely come to you, Shannon, because my knees is killing me.
I just wanna spend my life with you all day. You say that you love me, is it true? You say I'm the only one that's all for you. Okay, make me feel away, make me feel away. Shorty so damn dangerous, fuck me like I'm famous, yeah. I've been so impatient, so glad that you made it, yeah. Took my dick and faced it, shorty going crazy, yeah. Thought that you was playing, told me spray it everywhere. She want me to take it, what you tryna do? Shorty said